This is the regular monthly meeting of the Advisory Committee on the Status of Women. We are meeting virtually only. Any votes taken will be done in the manner of a roll call vote only. This meeting is being recorded in accordance with the open meeting law. We're required to record these meetings so they can be posted in infinitum on the city's website. So if you don't want to be recorded, you should leave the meeting now. I'm going to turn it over to, actually, I'm going to take a roll call first of who's present to make sure we have a quorum. I believe we do. And then turn it over to the chair for the going through the agenda. It's 5:32 p.m. And I'm going to take a roll call of the members present. Chair Katie Roy.
Here.
Vice Chair Stephanie Silva.
Here.
Clerk Aaliyah Marie Melville.
Here.
Member Kate Norton. Monica Goodwin. Lauren Morocco.
Here.
Jenny Cow.
Here.
Esther Boema Nyarko. So we do have enough people for a quorum. Katie, I'm going to turn it over to you to take care of the minutes and then run through the agenda.
Okay, so we will start. If everyone wants to just take a few minutes and approve or go over the minutes, I believe we have November and December minutes to approve that Pat sent out. So we'll just take a quick minute.
Aaliyah, can I distract you for a minute and ask you if you're going to try and make a stab at the minutes tonight?
Yes, actually, I started at our last meeting. So
Okay.
I've been, taking notes
Okay.
ever since. And then
Okay.
I know that we can meet and review everything that we need to review to make sure that everything's being documented properly.
Yes, and you can take a look at the ones that I provided. Those are basically, it's essentially not meant to be a historic reflection of what went on. It's basically just to give a concise sort of really brief statement of, what went over on the agenda. And then, so there's no decisions made that aren't made in a transparent manner. So they're not required to be archive quality works of writing.
Okay, gotcha.
Does everyone feel like they've had enough time with the minutes? All right. Motion to, can I make a motion? Is that
Yes.
okay. Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Second by Steph, okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve the minutes for November and December, made by Chair Katie Roy, seconded by Vice Chair Stephanie Silva. Roll call of the members present, please. Chair Katie Roy.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stephanie Silva.
Yes.
Clerk Aaliyah Marie Melville.
Yes.
Member Lauren Morocco.
Yes.
Member Jenny Cow.
Yes. Okay. The next item on the agenda is to nail down some of our details for the event taking place in March. I will start by saying I'm a little bit confused about the date. I don't know. Okay. Okay.
So I'm just trying to plug in dates at work. It's getting harder and harder to get that chamber, to be honest with you. And then like we have 2 new boards and commissions coming online as well. So, it's not an easy task. And every time I reserve it, it seems like I feel like I get thrown out or something like that. But I had reserved it for the date that we originally wanted, but then Stephanie is out of town, correct, Stephanie, that week?
I am. Yeah, the first week of March I'm out, but I did say go forth and totally don't have to be there, but
let me look at this for a second. March. So our normal meeting in March would be on the 3rd.
right.
And we were going to do this the following week, correct?
Yes.
And I believe I checked, Levi wasn't available on the 11th. So you're not going to be available for the regular meeting, correct, Steph?
Right, but I thought that was the original date of our event, because we were going to have it in lieu of our meeting.
And I thought we decided we were going to have the meeting also and the event, but you know
Okay.
what? You all need to tell me, because I don't think we can get the 11th anyhow, and it's after the day. So
Right.
it's after International Women's Day. So if you're not going to be there on that during that first week, I could try other days that week, but if possible, I mean, it's probably better to just try to stick to the day we all always have, because I've already put that down on the calendar for the Levi Chamber.
Right, right. So technically we have the room on the 3rd, March 3rd.
I have it reserved, but I'm just gonna, I mean, I'll have to really, Monday, the top on my list to do if we decide that's the day we want it, is to go in and like make sure that anyone in the city manager's office doesn't go near that calendar, because they have a habit of like, they know things are on there and then at the last minute kick you out. But if it's an event, I don't think they would do that. I want them to know that it's not just the regular meeting if we're going to use that date for an event.
Right.
So we'd either have to take that date or then try to go into the 17th. Doesn't work because the AAC already has the room for the 17th for their regular monthly meeting. So if we were to go out to the 3rd week in March, it would have to be either try to get a Monday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. But I have no idea what normally goes on in that room on those dates, because the 3rd week of the month, I'm not usually in City Hall at night.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I'm happy to look, and you all tell me what you want to do.
I mean, Stephanie aside, since we've already touched upon her situation, if everybody else can make it on that 3rd and we have the space, I think we should just probably proceed with that and continue with our planning rather than trying to do a workaround on another date for everybody. I think the only question I have is just given that we only meet once monthly and the last meeting would be the first week of February, do we want to meet a bit closer to the meeting, the date of the event, so that there's not such a huge gap?
Well, I was also going to propose we throw a special meeting in there, maybe like if we're going to use that meeting date that we would normally do, like last minute sort of fine tuning, maybe we throw an extra special meeting in February, like later in the month in February. What does anybody think of that?
I also think we could potentially keep our meeting date on the 3rd, and if we booked like sort of as a special meeting date and then bump out to like the 3rd week of March to just give us a little bit more time. But I don't know.
Could I also throw, arguably, could we do it in April, like instead of the April meeting date?
March, April.
Or are we beholden to March?
I think it was just the International Women's Day alignment that we were looking to do. So we could certainly, not, do something else. Again, I think what we learned from the Women of Consequence Award is that getting the date and then marketing it sooner than later is going to make sure that more people get there. So like ideally, if we were going to do March 3rd, we would want to have like that graphic and it out on social and on the website, like within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I also, because so with the award ceremony, there's kind of like a captive audience that we can expect to be there, because we know that like the awardees and their families and other nominees will come.
Yeah.
And I worry, I feel like we have to stack the deck as best we can. And so April, in terms of like weather and people like wanting to go and do things, I feel like April might be a easier sell for people to come out to something than that early part of March. But
yeah, I'm with Katie and Lauren. I do think that I know that we really want to do something for, International Women's Day, and perhaps maybe we can make something a little bit smaller and low key maybe we do just a nice little brunch or something instead, so that we can still gather the women together and those who identify as women. And then we can push for April. March is right around the corner. This new year is coming in hot for a lot of us. And I think that April gives us a lot more time to better prepare. People have time to decompress from the new year, finish up their holidays. They're now locked back into work. We could communicate with people, since I also haven't heard back from some people that I've reached out to regarding performing for the gala in March. So I think that April is a much better date. That way it gives us better time to prepare. We're not rushed, and we can actually, invest our time and energy and pull this off right.
So would you
So-
think that we would then call it something like ACSW recognition of International Women's Day, or just call it something else? I mean, I don't know.
If we're all on board about pushing it out just to have plan more meaningfully towards a later date, then I don't really necessarily think we need to attach International Women's Day. It's a great idea
Right.
in theory to align, but at the end of the day, there's no one day that, celebrating women isn't dedicated to one day. You can celebrate women every day. And so I think if we had a more generic name just to kind of embrace that kind of, every day is a day of women empowerment, then I think that would work well.
And I think what this will do too is I think if we can stick to April, it avoids us doing anything in the summer, which doesn't work, and then avoid that fall mania, which we know we can never get a perfect date on. So April would be great. We would want to avoid April school vacation, which is the week of the 14th. So we want to avoid that. And Easter is the 5th.
And our regular meeting would be
Right.
the 7th. So do you want to
Yep.
go for that day? The day of our regular meeting?
Ideally, yeah.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
So then should we still aim for a special meeting the week before that then, the week before Easter?
Day of regular meeting.
I think we
sense.
could potentially, since we'll have February and March, maybe could we decide at the March meeting if we feel like we need another?
Yeah, we might want to do it even
Touch
if we
base.
decide we want to do it later in March, right before the beginning of April too. Yeah, we can do that. All right, fingers crossed I can get that room.
Okay.
We're trying to get
okay.
our building set up for public meetings. The problem is that our building is secure and it really doesn't qualify as a public space because the door locks behind you. So when you need to get in with a fob. So we're trying to have a workaround around, like, do we post somebody at the door, or like with the door open, or how would that work? Because we have the space to have a meeting in our building. We have a nice training room. It's equipped with this, big, large screen like we have in City Hall and everything. Obviously, if we had, a massive amount of public show up at a meeting, it would be a tight thing. But like for us, I think we could even meet in my office if it was reasonably equipped as a public space, but they're trying to, vet some more spaces because it's just become like the AAC is always getting kicked out of there. Like almost every month I get a last minute thing about, oh, I'm sorry, but you don't have the room. And I reserved the room for a year. Like I already did it for this year, like in October, because I'm like, oh, I'll do it. And then maybe I'll get ahead of everybody else. And they're like, no, nice try. Because if it's anything to do with city council, they have dibs on any of those chambers in City Hall. So if it's a committee attached to city council, they can kick us out. So, and that's what's been happening. So, but again, as long as I earmark it as an event and the room is free, I think we'll be okay.
So I think we'll need to wait for confirmation on the date, but I know there were Aaliyah, and was anyone else reaching out to others in terms of speakers, et cetera? Oh, sorry, Aaliyah, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I reached out to Anne Marie Murphy. She was the woman who was the organizer of the Wall of Women paintings. And they had either a meeting this past Friday or there's one this Friday. And she was going to take our idea to the group and see if they wanted to do like an active almost like a show of, some of the artists if possible. And then she herself wants to also table in the room with her books and whatever, she does a lot of curating of things at the event. So she's in, and hopefully they're in some capacity. But I'm waiting to hear back from her on that.
I think that's great.
What
Leah,
I
did
wanted
you
to
have-
mention, yes, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. What I wanted to mention is that if we are still interested in doing something for International Women's Day, I know that we brought it, but maybe we could try to aim to have one of the workshops to get more young women and women around the city and county active into city government, as we talked about. I think it was in November. But that could be something that we do in March instead of the whole gala. But we could just hold that workshop as a little something for International Women's Day, just to bring people together. I think that would be nice if we're able to gather all the resources together.
I think that was Kate Norton, and unfortunately she's not here tonight. She actually told me she had a last minute thing come up with a client, but I can email her and see what her thoughts are on that tomorrow morning, and then get back to you guys on that.
Sounds good.
What would you want to do? Like, when would you want to do that workshop?
I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the date that we had set aside was
March 3rd.
the 3rd. Yeah, so we could do it on March 3rd for, if Kate Norton is available and we're able to gather everything together.
Oh,
We
so
could
you
go
wanted
for
to
March
you
3rd,
you wanted to do that on the day of our meeting?
or whichever day that we were going to do the gala, we could do it then.
All right.
Either the meeting or another day, if we want to still pursue an event for International Women's Day, I would suggest the workshop.
Okay, event for international. Would any of you want to do something during the day, or is that prohibitive with your schedules?
I could be available during the day.
What does anybody else think of that?
It's possible. I think if I have enough, yeah, I could lock it down. Depending.
I most likely will not be able to, but again, don't not have something because I'm not able to either.
Okay. Well, let me first talk to Kate tomorrow and see what she thinks of that, because I don't even know if she's available during the day. My sort of limits on the 3rd, or if we take the 3rd away and do an event now, then we definitely don't have enough time to do planning, because we're gonna use that time to have an event, a previous event to the one we really are planning, right? So let me
Yeah.
talk to her and let me see what it takes, what bandwidth it takes from her, from us to do something like this. And, again, maybe we can even do something in our building if it wouldn't be a public meeting. So maybe we can do something sort of informal in the late afternoon, early evening, or something like that on a different day than the 3rd. But let me figure it out what her schedule is like too first. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds good for me. Yeah, I don't want anybody to go over their bandwidth. I want to make sure that what we're doing is reasonable within our schedules and will be effective to and for our community.
Okay.
And beneficial.
Okay. So we have, sorry. So we have,
No, go ahead.
we have, we still have people who are waiting to hear back from. I think everyone pretty much knows that we all kind of took away from the last meeting to contact different people. I know, Stephanie, you were going to work with the caterer. Do you know where we are with that, or?
I mean, she's flexible. I mean, again, it was just the date, right? So if
Yeah.
I go back and tell her we're moving to April, she'll be good with that.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. And should I have Sarah Beth try and get all the what she needs for paperwork, or what do you want me to do about that? Or is she gonna just contact purchasing in the city? I mean, how do you want to do that? Because we have to get her set up as a vendor, if you recall.
Yeah, I did. When I met with her, I had mentioned it, and she's like, "No, I should be all set. I'm good." Because, like I said, she owns a restaurant in the city. But let me
Okay.
see what she prefers.
All right. Whatever. I mean, whatever we can do to facilitate that,
Okay.
let me know.
Okay.
And then other people were contacting different people they knew in the community for various forms of poetry, entertainment, music. Where are we with any of that?
Well, I had sent out to you to share with the group that we do have some new poet laureates. So if we wanted to reach out to either one of them to be at this event, I think that would be pretty cool. So that was just like an idea.
Okay.
I did reach out to Cara. I haven't heard back from her yet, but I am going to reach out to the other musicians in the area that I know and see if they will, or maybe I can get my old group back together and see if they would be willing to provide some music for us.
Right. Are you a musician?
I was.
Oh. Good to know.
These days, I just, I like to help facilitate.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. Are there other details that we feel like, in terms of promoting it, if we're looking at April, when should we start that?
I would want to get stuff over to the communications department, like immediately, like as you said before, or somebody said before, within the next couple of weeks, just so we start, really pushing. And then, was somebody gonna design something, or what are we gonna do about that piece of it? Because I know, it's not that they're not creative over there, but sometimes they don't have the bandwidth to do anything extra. So I would almost prefer if someone of you who's very creative, and I can't remember who did something last time, but a couple people sent drawings over to me, and that was kind of how we got some of the stuff for the scholarship event. So I don't know if anybody wants to take that on as a little pet project.
I'm happy
Some
to.
type of, oh, good, like a flyer, a one-page flyer kind of a thing. And then, we can submit it to the communications department and see, what their thoughts are on it. Hopefully, not subject ourselves to too much editing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because we had something similar for the Disability Pride event in at the Out to Lunch in the summer, and we had some really great graphics put forward by the bid and by another agency to promote that, and they were city was pretty flexible with those. So
Should
we
be
could-
great. My digital marketing course will come into play now.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, I'm almost finished up with my digital marketing certification, so I finally get to put all these skills to good use.
Okay, that's good. We're gonna hold you to it, Aaliyah.
So I think it would be cool too, maybe if we play on, and this is like not like my thoughts, this is the internet. So I'm not taking credit, but like leveraging like the season of spring, right? And like April, if we want to do a theme. So like there's like some like really good ones like spring forward, cultivating our future, rooted in resilience, blooming into your best self, spring forward, vision and purpose. So maybe I can put some more thought into making these a little bit more relative to our work and our mission and send it an email, and we could come up with, a line or a description, and then Aaliyah, you could put that into the graphic or design.
Sounds like a
I
plan.
think that's good. It makes me think, I think previously we were talking about the sort of theme of like give to gain.
Game,
But I
Right.
wonder if we could focus something around like planting a seed or something for springtime.
And that correlates with our conversation we were having with Katie about planting the seed of more female leaders and females in positions in the city council. And this is, so
Yeah,
this is
I
great.
think it.
Okay.
All right.
Lauren?
And
Um,
I'll say too, to all of you, like, if you ever think we need to have an impromptu, like, special meeting, as long as we're gonna do it this way, because it seems to work, at least, to throw an extra meeting in virtually, I'm open to that too, to make it so that we can put our heads together and make this work best we can. So just let me know that.
I was just going to ask if we can pin down exactly what we're calling this type of event. Are we calling it a networking event? Are we calling it a gala? Like, I think that's also kind of important to kind of decide what this is so people can get a feel for what it actually is.
I've pretty much, when I've been talking it up to people such as the Women's Wall and Anne Marie Murphy, I referred to it as a informal networking. No, we're not all going to go hand out our business cards, but it's like to get women together in the same room from different areas of business and life and work, and that type of an event. So I don't know what anybody thinks of that, but I thought we sort of left it that it is going to be more of a networking thing for that reason.
I think that's the right fit.
Yeah.
I know Monica had put into the schedule some sort of like topic ideas, and so I think my question is like, do we want to try to have some structure to the networking piece, or do we just get people in the space and just let them truly let them network, or should there be a speaker or tables or Jenny?
I've hosted a couple of networking receptions or events at my company. I do think structure is important. You'd be surprised at every age. I've hosted for every level of professionals, and everyone gets very awkward and unsure what to do when they step into a room with strangers. And so I think, we have some music playing so folks don't feel like it's a silent room coming in. It'd be nice to have our members up and kind of welcoming people so they don't feel as awkward. But I do think we should have some opening remarks to introduce, why we're here, who we are, and what's the purpose of what we're doing. And I think if we try to make, I don't want to engineer it too much, but I do think I don't know how the room's gonna be set up. Well, I do know what the chamber looks like, but we have a big space, right? And so, do you want to do I've done tall boys, and we have icebreakers on the table, like in a fishbowl for folks to use in case they need something to break the ice. Or do we have, the room set up in a way where, or do we structure it more where, we have time for folks of common interests to, gather in one corner of the room. And so, but I do think having structure is better than just telling people, you come in and start talking to strangers, because you don't really know who's also in the room as well. And so I think that's something we have to think about, is how do we introduce who's in the room, at least broadly, to if we're inviting people from certain organizations. We'll say if these people are in the room, if you want to speak to them, they're in this area, just so there's more direction there.
I wonder if we had if we picked 3 or 4 individuals who could kind of be plants in the room that would this corner is going to, they're going to be talking about whatever. And so people could go join a conversation that they feel like they want to be part of, or they could bounce around. Stephanie?
I love that, Katie. I love that. And I was just thinking too, if we are gonna go with our give to gain theme, that we could, have Madi Gonzalez from Elba and Sumataro, right? Like she's a nonprofit. All she does is give to the community, right? So like if there's some nonprofits in the room or community folks, they could go with her. You know, we could, I know we always say her name, but like Kim Salmon, right? She's the, you know, if you have a foundation. So she knows about that kind of sector, kind of give to her, and then maybe have like a I don't know, for-profit or a larger company also represented, or maybe education. I think that would be really cool way to
Yeah,
tie in what both you and Jenny are saying.
Yeah, I
I
think
like
it'd be
that.
nice from a professional. We can also think about it. There's a professional development aspect, right? And then we also think about people who are doing civic duty, right? And out kind of like us out in the city, just volunteerism, right? So we have a section for that, and then we also have to think more strategically too. We're trying to entice people to apply for our awards later in the year or so, and so thinking too about plan like an info table for our section for that, introducing, you know, what do we do as community? How the community get involved or be a part of our impact? And so I do agree that I think, and we can maybe write this down, you know, in a working doc or something, or just an email chain of, you know, here's broadly categories of what stations we think would be good topics, areas where we think, you know, women are thriving, and areas where we might need more women in like STEM, for instance, right? Or things like that. And then from there, I think having topic icebreakers or something of sort, like like a discussion guide of sort. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it's nice to have a bullets of, you know, like, or a little info guide of, you know, like this is what this section is about, and here are things you can talk about. Maybe post it at Tall Boy something in that corner, just to have something for people to guide their conversation with. Um, and I'm also just thinking something that often happens at networking events is when you do have that type of situation, one person could be talking, like one expert, and everyone's just standing around listening in silence. And so, how do we get people to organically talk more in small groups, even within those sections, so it doesn't feel like only one voice or only a few are being heard?
I agree with that.
So you all know the layout of that room. Are you thinking like, you know, due to lack of a better sort of visual in my mind, are you thinking like no chairs in the middle of the room? Maybe each corner is a category sort of thing, and then a place where we have a podium where the opening remarks can be made, or something like that, or?
I
Yeah,
think so. I think I don't know if we have tall boys like at our disposal at the city,
That
but
was going to be my suggestion too, so
Yeah.
people can eat and chit chat and just like lean and hang out. So it's not so formal that they're standing there.
I'll ask, but I don't feel confident that that's something that we have access to. But I will ask facilities about that.
I have two at home. Don't ask. But yeah, I think Pat, that's kind of, yeah, what we were thinking, because the remarks or like the welcome or even the, you know, kind of wrap up would be really brief. So the point, I mean, we were thinking what, 2 hours, right? This would be a 2-hour event, so it'll move quick. I mean, some chairs for accessibility or, you know, for some folks that do need to sit, but definitely not like the theater
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
so for our next meeting, Aaliyah's gonna take a shot at doing the flyer. Do we think we want to do it, like, have it done before then? Should we kind of decide that via email? Okay, I think that would be good. So whenever you can get that over, Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, what's your timeline like? Like, could you have that in like 10 days to me, or is that pushing it too much?
Oh, the flyer?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I should be able to. Yeah, I could definitely have that within 10 days. That's not a problem.
Okay. So if you get that to me, and I will circulate it to the group, and we'll quickly by email respond to that. Any ideas, changes, suggested edits, attaboys, or whatever it is, attagirls, or whatever. And we'll go from there.
All right. Sounds like the game plan.
So
Is there a
it look-
style guide she has to follow? Oh, sorry. Is there a style
ahead, go
guide she
ahead.
has to follow at
This
all or
si-
anything?
Well, the city has a style guide, but my hope with this is that we kind of if we do something that they're agreeable to, since it's for our event, my hope is that, you know, we skirt around the style guide, but obviously like anything for our office, for example, we have to submit it to them for approval. And like, we're doing this, rolling out this thing that Kevin designed called the Management Academy to train all the managers in the city, and each one of us has a piece of it. So each one of us had to do a piece of it and then submit it to go to the communications department to make sure they were happy with the way it was formatted. I mean, right down to the font and all of this stuff. So, you know, like me, I thought mine looked really good, my PowerPoint, but they basically were like, no, you know, we can't have all this stuff over here. And they took a lot of pictures. I had it out and everything. So, but I think with a 1-page thing like that, we might be able to, and I'm not promising, but I hope we can skirt around the style guide, because this is our event for the ACSW, and not necessarily, although yes, we're a city committee, but it's not, you know, the city of Worcester putting it on. So I'm sure we'll have to have the city logo on there somewhere, no doubt, but otherwise I hope we have a little flexibility.
Okay, so first we will need to just make sure we have the date, and then the flyer can be created. So we should have that before our next meeting. And then potentially for our next meeting, we can talk through more of the sort of logistics and how each station will work, and if we want to have plants in the room, who those plants might want to be, and then maybe some more information about if there is entertainment available. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I actually was thinking, even in terms of when you said like plants in the room, more like how the bid has like ambassadors downtown now, when we have a lot of people in the city and they're out there, like people, they give them directions, they're like friendly faces for people to walk up to, like more in line with that kind of a setup.
I mean, I'm not familiar with that setup downtown, but from what it sounds like, I think we're aligned, kind of just having friendly faces in the room,
Mhm.
you know, guide the flow of traffic to make sure people are, you know, actively engaging. One thing I do want to propose, and I don't know if it's possible, is by our next meeting, also have an idea of who are going to be the major players that are going to be there, so the folks are reaching out to be invited there, just so that also helps us kind of navigate, okay, what are these stations that are, you know, that work, or topics that we're going to be highlighting during the event in terms of networking or conversation. Like if we're going to talk about, you know, education or nonprofits, is there someone or people who are leaders in that space that will be there to kind of be the experts to speak to that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jenny. Like, I mean, that's a good question, Jenny. Pat. Like I have like would we like say like we all have connections, right? Like with who we work with the network. Like would we be able to like personally reach out to like Senator Robin Kennedy, because I have her staffer, and be like, "Hey, we'd love to invite you to this event." Like, can we do that, or do you have to do that?
You can do that, but then in the end, what you can do is make sure that they have my contact info so that we can coordinate things with them.
Okay.
I happen to have met her assistant at this downtown Disability Pride Day. And it was interesting because it was the first time I met Robin Kennedy, and when she came up to me and we were talking, I literally was flocked with people. Like people were just following her around everywhere she went. And I went from like having like a private conversation to her like having like 50 people around us. So you know, she's a very popular person to have around.
Yeah. Yeah, because like if we once we get the date, like if you know, happy to send it off to our team to lock that in, and then anyone else that we know that are going to be in these type of industries that are potentially in, you know, higher positions that could be great representatives.
And
We
she
can
might be a
just-
good person to have for this whole, like, how are we going to promote women's participation in
Oh,
the
yeah.
political arena too.
Big time.
Should we have an RSVP? And the reason I ask, one is because like we want to make sure that we know that we're going to have some people at the event. And the second piece is I think, you know, if we are talking about like Robin Kennedy being there or someone else, you know, in the opening remarks, we always want to make sure that we acknowledge that they're in the room. And I want to make sure we don't like miss that someone is in the room, that we should be acknowledging if they are.
I think we need that too, just to confirm that, like, who we think we have coming, and that would be not just the invited guests or whatever, but just generally speaking. When we put this one pager, that would be something I would include on the one pager, Aaliyah, that RSVP kind of a thing on there, so that we kind of get a feel for who, either we're gonna not have enough people or get overrun by people. Those are our basic two options, right? Like, it's never gonna be the ideal amount of people.
Yep.
Usually it's so I definitely think that's a good idea, Katie.
And then Lauren just posted in the chat, kind of just structuring categories of where people we can reach out to. And I think that's a pretty good comprehensive list. So thank you, Lauren.
I didn't hear you, Jenny, very well.
Oh,
I
sorry.
see.
In the chat, Lauren posted just kind of broad categories of where people we can reach out to.
Okay.
So maybe we can share this with the broader group, and then see where we have people lined up already and where we might want to do more outreach. Because certainly, I think we've all gone to school. But hopefully, education is a big area we can reach out to. We all work at companies. There's women leaders there too, and so we can all pitch in to some extent.
About how many people can, I know I asked this, but I totally forget and I can't find in my notes. About how many people can the room hold?
I want to say, I think it says 80 on there on the door.
Okay.
That I'll check too. Check Levi room capacity.
Because God forbid we send it to like a college and then the whole family sends
Yeah.
their underclassmen.
Well,
We're
I'm
like,
also
"Oh."
thinking if we had to utilize the hallway like in there, because those offices are all closed. So that might be kind of interesting too, to have like something in the hallway leading up into there if we need the space. But I have to check on that too, whether, I'm talking out of turn here and volunteering the hallway when I shouldn't be. I don't know.
Ask for
That'd be a good spot
forgiveness.
for tabling.
Yeah, it's an ideal spot because it's like a, a natural place to land, right, with the table and then the walls kind of in it's a big enough space, but also confined enough where it wouldn't look empty if we only had a half a dozen or four or whatever it was, so. All right.
Is there anything else we feel like we should address tonight that cannot wait until the next meeting?
Again, I'll reiterate to any one of you, if there's anything that comes up, just email me. And we'll, circulate it or do whatever we have to, dig things out or dig things up as needed, short of the meeting. Sometimes this once a month meeting is not sufficient, as you all recognize, for an event.
I think it'd be helpful, and maybe we already do this if Aaliyah is going to do it, just having a recap of what the action items are, but for the next meeting. And so we as a group can decide, where we need to put our efforts towards if things aren't moving forward already.
Yeah, good point.
On a different topic, Pat, would it be possible to send out calendar invites for the rest of the year? Because I think I only had them in my calendar up until today.
Yeah, we posted the calendar on the city website, but I can do that.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to discuss? Can I just adjourn the meeting, or we don't have to do a roll call for that, right?
No,
Okay.
You can adjourn the meeting.
The meeting is adjourned. It was nice to see everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New
It's
Year.
6:16.
Yeah.
Good night, ladies.
It's 6:16 p.m. everyone. Have a good night.
All right.
Good
Thanks
night.
all. Talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Good night.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.